Sometimes, we share connections so deep with a person that it becomes almost impossible to break them off. Even after a fight and disagreement, you find yourself still attached to that person. Even in other forms of relationships, the time you share with a person brings some kind of connection or attachment that is not easy to get rid of. These attachments are a result of continuous contact and communication, shared feelings, and some other activities. When a breakup occurs and the people involved have to go their separate ways, one of the first things they do is to break the attachment or any connection they feel to that person by staying away. That means no communication, avoiding every form of contact, and for some people, a change of environment. This has proven very effective in moving forward from a previous relationship. However, some people share ties and connections that goes beyond the normal feelings. Even when they are apart, they can't help thinking about that person. It's like a soul tie, and it happens usually between soulmates, people that are meant to be together. When you share this kind of bond with your partner where your hearts are close-knit, that you can't help but think about them even after you have broken up, it is a sign that you might still come back together. Sometimes we have conflicts. We get hurt and just want to move on, but we find it impossible. That's to tell you that the connection you share goes beyond material things or mere superficial feelings. Especially as a Christian, when you go through experiences like this, you can always ask God to bring healing to your heart and help you to move on and forget about that person. If God wants it that way, you will find yourself healing, and much sooner than you think, you will become involved with someone else who will push the memories of your ex into the background. However, if it doesn't happen this way and you find yourself unable to shake off the thoughts about your ex no matter how much you try, then it's a sign that you will get back together with them. That means God wants you to be together, and He is working through your feelings and your heart to ensure that you still consider that person. When Joseph wanted to leave Mary, he kept pondering the whole matter in his heart, not quite sure of what to do, but unwilling to risk his reputation at the same time. God helped him out of his dilemma by guiding him on what to do, as we see that he went on to take Mary as his wife the following day. God still works in the same way today. You might not have a dream or vision where you get instructions from an angel, but that witness you have in your heart is enough reason for you to know that God wants you to be with that person. However, beyond your thoughts and feelings, there should be a reciprocal reaction from your ex as well, because there can be no relationship without agreement between both parties. That means that person will also have thoughts of you and will be unable to move on with their lives as is normally expected of people when they have broken up with their partners. Just as God is working on your heart and you find it hard to move on, God will also work on their hearts as well and propel them to take the necessary step as He did with Joseph and Mary. That connection you still feel with that person is a sign that you should not ignore. It means God will bring you back together again. Trying to make things work with other people might not work out for you in this case. So, depending on which direction God is leading you, you can either wait for them to come around or you can make the first move. Willingness to forgive. There should always be room for forgiveness in any kind of relationship, but most especially when it comes to a romantic relationship that will lead to marriage. This is because you are going to spend the rest of your life together with that person, and one way or the other, step on each other's toes. However, something may happen that will lead to a serious disagreement or fight and cause two people who are so much in love with each other to decide to go their separate ways. It could be that one person was seriously hurt or had their trust betrayed, and the initial shock led to making that decision. However, after some time, a person might find that the hurt only becomes worse with the separation, and probably because of the soft spot they have for that person, be willing to forgive the offense and allow for a second chance. This works in both ways too. That is, the other person in question is willing to seek your forgiveness and get back into your life. If they don't see anything wrong with what they have done, or they feel justified with their actions, it might be difficult to work things out again. On the other hand, feeling remorseful after what had happened and looking for ways to beg for forgiveness is a sign that they still want you in their lives. It shows that they have realized their mistakes and are ready to make amends. The usual trend after most breakups is that the two people involved become enemies or maintain a kind of polite aloofness from the other person. Usually, the person at fault is not ready to own up that they were at fault or are the reason for the breakup, and would rather move on to another person. In this case, you can be sure there's no coming back of any form. Even if such a person apologizes, it might be later on in the future when they have become mature and want to keep the peace or correct their past wrongs. In a case where there is every likelihood for you and your ex to get back together, you would see the remorse in them within a short time of separation. They most likely will try to get to you through their friends, or your family members. They might even be so bold as to come to you directly to seek your forgiveness, or it could be the other way around. When there is remorse for past wrongs and willingness to forgive, it's a good sign of a reunion for both of you. A change of behavior should also accompany such an apology. Otherwise, it would just be a matter of time before the same cycle repeats itself. So, you might want to watch out for a change of character or behavior to tell if God wants you two to be together. It does not have to be with that person alone. It could even be you. Perhaps there has been a certain issue that has been a bone of contention, and neither of you is ready to give in or reach a compromise. You might begin to experience a change of heart over that particular thing, and something that used to matter before is now something you can overlook or become easily adapted to. That's a sign that God is molding you to fit into that person's life, and so you can be sure that you will get back together. Don't push your luck though. If there is a need for you to seek forgiveness, do it. And if it's the other person that asks for your forgiveness, give it readily, especially when you want the same thing in your heart. Your paths keep crossing. It is very common for people to focus on other aspects of their lives after a breakup. They just want to do away with anything that can bring up memories of the past they shared with their ex, or can ignite the spark again, especially if they are not totally over that person. They might even go as far as moving across towns, changing their geographical location just so they don't come in contact with their ex. This could work for some time, and it might look as though they are already succeeding in moving on, until they run across that person. It could be at a conference, at the airport, or even where it is least expected. When it happens once, you might think it's a mere coincidence and just overlook it. But God doesn't work through coincidences. What seems like a coincidence to you might be God's carefully orchestrated plan to bring you back together. So you might find out that they have also moved across town and happen to be living across the street from you. Very convenient, right? Or they could be a part of your Sunday school group in the church, or the very first client that you have to attend to on a Monday morning. So it could be anywhere, but the point here is that you keep seeing them around you and might even be thinking that they are stalking you. Chances are that they are thinking the same thing. Meanwhile, it's all part of God's plan to bring you back together. Maybe after one or two conversations, you might discover that you both are very much single and the old spark is reignited again. You don't even have to think about how it will come to be. When God wants you to bring together, He has His ways, and one of those ways is to ensure that you are always within sight of each other. You just keep crossing paths with that person.